Kang Ho wiped the sweat from his forehead as he crawled out from under the broken mining crawler. At 67 years old, his back ached more than it used to, but his hands still knew machines better than most people knew their own family. The toxic winds of Velthara Prime howled across the scrapyard where he had made his home for the past 5 years. The old mechanic looked at his scanner and frowned. The energy reading was wrong. It showed something big buried in the crystal canyon about 20 miles east, something that did not belong on this dead world. Kang Ho had been fixing things since he was 12 years old, first on Earth, then in the military, and now here in exile. He knew when machines were lying to him, probably just interference from the storms, he muttered to himself, but his curiosity would not let it go. In all his years as a salvage hunter, he had never seen readings like these. The next morning, Kang Ho loaded his battered hover truck with tools and supplies. The journey to the canyon was dangerous. The atmosphere on Velthara Prime could kill a human in minutes without protection, and the local aliens did not like humans wandering around their territory. But something about those energy readings called to him like a broken engine that needed fixing. The Crystal Canyon was a maze of sharp rocks that glowed with their own light. Kang Ho had been here before, looking for rare metals, but he had never gone this deep. His scanner kept beeping louder as he walked further into the canyon. The readings were getting stronger. Then he saw it. Rising from the canyon floor like a metal mountain was the biggest spaceship Kang Ho had ever seen. It was easily 10 times larger than any human vessel he had worked on. The hull was made of some dark metal that seemed to drink in the light around it. Strange symbols covered its surface, symbols that hurt his eyes when he looked at them too long. But the strangest thing was how new it looked. On Velthara Prime, everything rusted and broke down within months. This ship looked like it had been built yesterday, even though Kang Ho could tell it was ancient. He walked closer, running his weathered hands along the hull. The metal was warm to the touch, and he could swear he felt something like a heartbeat coming from inside. His scanner went crazy, showing energy levels that should not be possible. "What are you?" Kang Ho whispered to the ship. That was when he heard the sound of engines overhead. 3 Velthan patrol ships landed nearby, their weapons already charging. The aliens that climbed out were tall and covered in green scales. Their leader wore the red markings of a commander. "Human scum," the commander said in broken English. "You are in sacred zone. You must leave now." Kang Ho knew this alien. Commander Nex had been giving him trouble for months, always looking for reasons to arrest him or worse. The Velthans thought humans were nothing but thieves and troublemakers. "I am just looking around," Kang Ho said, keeping his hands visible. "No harm done." "This place is forbidden to your kind," Nex replied, his yellow eyes glowing with anger. "The old ship belongs to us. It has always belonged to us." "Old ship?" Kang Ho looked back at the massive vessel. "You know what this is?" "It is not your concern," Nex snapped. "You have 72 hours to leave this planet. If I find you here after that, I will kill you myself." The Velthan patrol ships lifted off, leaving Kang Ho alone with the mysterious ship. He should have been scared. He should have packed up and left like Nex ordered. But Kang Ho had never walked away from a puzzle he could not solve. As the alien ships disappeared into the toxic sky, Kang Ho approached the vessel again. He walked around its base, looking for any kind of door or opening. The ship was so big it would take him hours just to walk around it once. Near what looked like the front of the ship, he found something that might have been an entrance. It was just a smooth section of hull, but when Kang Ho touched it, the metal grew warm under his fingers. Suddenly, lights began to flicker along the hull. Faint at first, then brighter. The symbols on the ship started to glow with a soft blue light, and from somewhere deep inside, Kang Ho heard it again. The sound like a heartbeat, slow and steady. "You are alive, are not you?" he said to the ship. The Lights pulsed once, as if answering him. Kang Ho stepped back, his mind racing. In all his years working with machines, he had never seen anything like this. Ships did not respond to touch. They did not have heartbeats. They did not glow when someone talked to them. But this was no ordinary ship. He thought about Commander Nex and his threats. He thought about his small cabin in the scrapyard, where he spent his days fixing broken miners and haulers for enough credits to buy food. He thought about Earth, which he would never see again after his court-martial. Then he looked at the ship again, at its impossible size and its impossible condition and its impossible response to his presence. Kang Ho had always been good at fixing things. It was the only thing he had ever been truly good at, and this ship, whatever it was, needed fixing. He could feel it in his bones the same way he could feel when an engine was about to fail or when a power core was running hot. 72 hours, he said to himself. That should be enough time to figure out how to get inside. He walked back to his hover truck and started unloading his tools. Whatever this ship was, wherever it came from, it had been waiting in this canyon for someone to find it, someone who understood machines, someone who was not afraid to get their hands dirty, someone like him. As the twin suns of Velthara Prime began to set, casting long shadows across the crystal canyon, Kang Ho set up his temporary workshop. The ship continued to pulse with its strange light, as if it knew help had finally arrived. The old mechanic smiled for the first time in months. He had found something worth fixing, and maybe, just maybe, it would fix him too. Kang Ho had not slept all night. He had spent hours walking around the massive ship, running every scan he could think of. His equipment was old and simple, but it told him enough to know this was not like any technology he had ever seen. The ship was alive. Not alive like a person or an animal, but alive like a machine that had been sleeping and was slowly waking up. Power flowed through its hull in patterns that made no sense. The metal itself seemed to be some kind of computer. As the morning sun rose over the canyon, Kang Ho found what he was looking for. A section of the hull that was slightly different from the rest. When he touched it, the metal grew warm and began to move, not opening like a normal door, but flowing like liquid until there was a hole just big enough for him to crawl through. Inside, the ship was even stranger than outside. The corridors were too tall and too wide, as if built for giants. But when Kang Ho walked down them, the ceiling lowered and the walls moved closer until the space fit him perfectly. Lights came on as he approached and went dark after he passed. The ship was changing itself to match him. "This is impossible," Kang Ho muttered, but he kept walking deeper into the vessel. He passed rooms full of equipment he could not identify, screens showing star maps of places he had never seen, chambers that hummed with power but had no obvious purpose. Everything looked new, but felt ancient. Finally, he reached what had to be the heart of the ship, a vast room filled with lights that pulsed in rhythm with the heartbeat he had been hearing. In the center stood a pillar of crystal that stretched from floor to ceiling. When Kang Ho approached the crystal, it began to glow brighter. The air shimmered, and suddenly there was a voice in his head. "Finally," the voice said. It sounded like a woman, tired but relieved. "I have been waiting so long for someone with the right frequency." Kang Ho looked around the empty room. "Who is there? Show yourself." The air in front of the crystal shimmered again, and a figure appeared. It looked like a human woman made of light, wearing clothes from no time period Kang Ho recognized. "I am Aria," the figure said. "Advanced Reconnaissance Intelligence Archive. I am the mind of this ship." "You are an AI," Kang Ho said. He had worked with artificial intelligence before, but nothing like this. "I am much more than that," Aria replied. "I am the keeper of humanity's future, or rather one possible future." Kang Ho frowned. "What do you mean?" Aria gestured, and the walls around them changed. Suddenly, they were surrounded by stars, floating in space. But these were not the stars Kang Ho knew. This ship, the Prometheus Unbound, comes from 50,000 years in your future, Arya explained. A time when humanity had spread across the galaxy and become something wonderful, but also a time when humanity faced its greatest threat. The stars around them changed, showing massive dark shapes moving between galaxies. Ships larger than planets, consuming everything in their path. The Devourers, Arya continued. They have destroyed 1,000 civilizations. When they came for humanity, we fought them. We lost. Kang Ho felt a chill run down his spine. But you escaped? In a way. Before the end, humanity's greatest minds created this ship. Not to escape the past, but to change it. We sent the Prometheus Unbound back, through time, carrying the knowledge needed to make humanity strong enough to face what is coming. The images faded, and they were back in the crystal chamber. Kang Ho stared at the AI, trying to process what he had heard. Why me? He asked. I am just an old mechanic. Arya smiled, and for a moment she looked almost human. Because you understand. Machines in a way others do not. You listen to them. You feel what they need. That is exactly what this ship needs. What do you want me to do? Help me repair the temporal stabilizers, Arya said. The journey back through time damaged them. If they fail completely, the resulting explosion will destroy half this solar system. Before Kang Ho could respond, his scanner started beeping. Someone was approaching the canyon. He looked at the readings and cursed under his breath. What is wrong? Arya asked. Company, Kang Ho said. And not the friendly kind. He made his way back to the entrance of the ship, Arya's voice following him. Be careful, Kang Ho. Not everyone will understand what we are trying to do. Outside, a single Velthan shuttle was landing near his hover truck. But this was not a military vessel. It was a science ship, and the alien who climbed out wore the white robes of a researcher. The Velthan was smaller than Commander Nex, with blue scales instead of green. She approached slowly, her hands visible and empty. You are the human who found the ship, she said in perfect English. Depends who is asking, Kang Ho replied. My name is Dr. Shin Ara, the alien said. I am a xenoarchaeologist. I study ancient technologies. Let me guess. You want me to leave so you can study it yourself? Dr. Shin Ara shook her head. No, I want to help you. Kang Ho stared at her, in surprise. In 5 years on Velthara Prime, no alien had ever offered to help him with anything. Why? He asked. Because I have been monitoring the energy readings from this ship for 3 days, she said. The patterns are unlike anything in our databases, but more importantly, they are growing stronger. If they continue to increase at this rate, they will destabilize the planetary core. Meaning? Meaning this world will explode in less than a week, taking the entire system with it. Kang Ho felt his blood turn cold. He thought about Arya's words about the temporal stabilizers failing. You believe me, Dr. Shin Ara said, studying his expression. You know what this ship is. I am starting to figure it out, Kang Ho admitted. Then you also know that neither of our species has the technology to understand it alone, she said. But together, we might have a chance. Kang Ho looked back at the ship, its hull still pulsing with that strange heartbeat rhythm. Inside, Arya was waiting for him to return, waiting for him to help save not just this world but the entire galaxy. He looked at Dr. Shin Ara, an alien scientist offering to work with a human mechanic to prevent disaster. Can you handle strange technology? He asked. I have a doctorate in theoretical physics and 20 years of experience with xenotech, she replied. That was not what I asked. Dr. Shin Ara tilted her head, confused. Can you handle technology that thinks for itself? Technology that changes based on who is using it? Technology that comes from the future? The alien scientist stared at him for a long moment. Then she looked at the ship, watching the way its lights pulsed in perfect rhythm. "I am beginning to think I had better learn how," she said. Kang Ho nodded and gestured toward the ship. "Then, come on, someone wants to meet you." As they walked toward the entrance together, neither of them noticed the military scanner hidden in the rocks above, or the red light that showed it was transmitting everything back to Commander Nex. Dr. Shin Ara stopped walking the moment she entered the ship. Her blue scales turned pale as the corridor adjusted itself around her, walls moving and lights shifting to accommodate both her and Kang Ho at the same time. "This should not be possible," she whispered. "Tell me about it," Kang Ho said. "I have been saying that since yesterday." They made their way to the crystal chamber, where Arya was waiting. When the AI appeared, Dr. Shin Ara fell to her knees, her scientific mind struggling to process what she was seeing. "Greetings, Dr. Shin Ara," Arya said gently. "I am sorry if my appearance disturbs you." "You are a quantum consciousness," the Velthan scientist managed to say. "A mind made of pure energy, but somehow stable. This violates every law of physics." "I know. The laws of physics are more flexible than your people believe," Arya replied. "What you see is impossible. We learned to do 50,000 years ago." Kang Ho watched as Dr. Shin Ara slowly got back to her feet. The alien scientific curiosity was fighting with her fear, and curiosity was winning. "You said the ship comes from the future," Dr. Shin Ara said. "Prove it." Arya gestured, and the air around them filled with holographic displays, star charts showing the galaxy as it would be millennia from now, technical blueprints for machines that could reshape matter at the atomic level, medical devices that could cure any disease or injury. "Your people will discover faster-than-light communication in 300 years, Arya told Dr. Shin Ara. "Humanity will master gravity manipulation in 800. Together, your species will build cities that float between stars." Dr. Shin Ara studied the displays with wide eyes. "These technologies, they could solve every problem our worlds face. End hunger, cure disease, stop wars. If we can repair the temporal stabilizers," Kang Ho said. "Otherwise, none of it matters because we will all be dead." Arya nodded sadly. "The damage is worse than I initially calculated. The stabilizers are not just broken. They are fighting each other, creating feedback loops that grow stronger every hour." "Show us," Dr. Shin Ara said. They followed Arya deeper into the ship, to a section that hurt to look at. The walls seemed to bend in directions that did not exist, and the air itself felt heavy. In the center of the chamber was a ring of metal as tall as a building, covered in crystals that sparked with unstable energy. "The temporal field generator," Arya explained. "It creates the bubble of space-time that allowed us to travel back through time. But the journey damaged the quantum matrices. They are producing temporal echoes that could tear open reality itself." Dr. Shin Ara pulled out her scanner and immediately started taking readings. "The energy signatures are unlike anything in our databases. The mathematical models do not even exist to describe what I am seeing." "But you understand it, do not you?" Kang Ho said. The alien scientist was quiet for a long moment, studying the data. "It is based on harmonic resonance principles, but applied to the fabric of space-time itself. The crystals are tuned to specific frequencies that keep the temporal field stable." "Can you fix it?" Arya asked. "Not alone," Dr. Shin Ara admitted. "The calculations required are beyond any single mind. But if I could link with the ship's computer systems—" "Dangerous," Arya warned. "A biological mind interfacing directly with quantum consciousness has never been attempted. You could lose yourself entirely." Before anyone could respond, alarms started blaring throughout the ship. Arya's form flickered, and her expression turned grim. "We have visitors," she said. They rushed back to the main chamber where the walls had become transparent. showing the space above the canyon. Two fleets faced each other in the sky. Human ships from the frontier colonies, led by a massive cruiser. Velthon warships in their traditional triangle formation. "How did they find us so fast?" Kang Ho asked. "Commander Nex," Dr. Shin Ara said bitterly. "He has been monitoring all communications. When I left to find you, he must have followed." A communication signal came through the ship's systems. On the screen appeared a human face Kang Ho recognized. "Governor Park Day, the military administrator for this sector." "Kang Ho, you old fool," Park Day said. "What have you gotten yourself into this time?" "Hello, Day," Kang Ho replied. "Still trying to clean up messes that are not your fault?" "This is bigger than old grudges," Park Day said seriously. "Our sensors are picking up energy readings that could be a new type of weapon. I have orders to secure that ship." Another signal interrupted them. This time it was a Velthan face covered in the gold markings of high command. War Master Gul Thane, the most feared military leader in the sector. "The sacred vessel belongs to the Velthan people," he announced. "Any human attempt to claim it will be considered an act of war." "Sacred vessel?" Park Day laughed. "Your people have been on this world for less than 1,000 years. That ship is clearly older than your entire civilization." "Enough," Dr. Shin Ara said, stepping into view of both communications. "This ship belongs to neither of our peoples. It belongs to the future." Both military leaders stared at her in shock. Dr. Shin Ara was well known in scientific circles, respected, even by humans for her research. "Shin Ara," War Master Gul Thane said. "What are you doing with human scum?" "Trying to save all our lives," she replied. "This ship is not a weapon. It is a warning, and if we do not work together to stabilize it, it will destroy this entire system." "Impossible," Park Day said. "Our readings show contained energy levels." Area stepped forward, her holographic form visible to both fleets. "Perhaps you would prefer a demonstration." Without warning, space around the ship twisted. The fleets found themselves pushed apart by invisible forces, their engines struggling against gravitational fields that appeared from nowhere. For 30 seconds, the most advanced warships in the sector were helpless, drifting like leaves in a cosmic wind. Then everything returned to normal. "That was 1% of this ship's passive defensive systems," Arya announced calmly. "Would you like to see what happens when I feel threatened?" Both communication screens went quiet for a long moment. Finally, Park Day spoke. "What do you need?" "Time," Kang Ho said, "and for both your fleets to back off and let us work." "How much time?" War Master Gul Thane asked. Dr. Shin Ara looked at the readings on her scanner. The temporal distortions were growing stronger by the hour. 48 hours, she said. "Maybe less." "And if you fail?" Arya answered that question. "If we fail, the temporal cascade will create a black hole that consumes everything within 10 light years. Your fleets, your worlds, your people, all of it will be gone." The two military leaders looked at each other across the communication link. Ancient enemies forced to consider working together. "You have 24 hours, Park Day said finally. "Then I am sending down technical teams whether you want them or not." 12 hours, War Master Gul Thane countered. "The risk is too great to trust human promises." "Stop acting like children," Dr. Shin Ara snapped. "Give us the time we need, or explain to your people why you chose pride over survival." Both communications cut off, leaving the chamber in silence. "Think they will keep their word?" Kang Ho asked. "For now," Dr. Shin Ara said. "But they will be monitoring everything. Any sign that we are failing, and they will try to take control." Arya looked at the temporal stabilizer readings with growing concern. "Then we had better not fail." Outside, the two fleets maintained their positions, watching each other and the mysterious ship below. Neither side trusted the other, but both understood that some things were more important than old hatreds. Time was running out, and the fate of the galaxy hung in the balance. Time was running out faster than anyone had expected. In the 12 hours since the fleets arrived, the temporal distortions around the ship had doubled in strength. Space itself was beginning to crack, showing glimpses of other times and places. Through tears in reality, Kang Ho worked frantically on the physical components of the stabilizer ring, while Dr. Shin Ara calculated the quantum frequencies needed to bring the system back into balance. They had made progress, but it was not enough. "The harmonic patterns are too complex," Dr. Shin Ara said, frustration clear in her voice. "I need processing power beyond anything my equipment can provide." "What about linking directly with Arya like you suggested?" Kang Ho asked. "Too dangerous," Arya interrupted. "The quantum matrices are unstable. Any biological mind that interfaces with them now could be torn apart." But Dr. Shin Ara was studying the readings more carefully. "Wait, look at these patterns. They are not random. The temporal echoes are creating a feedback loop, but it follows mathematical principles I recognize." She pulled up a holographic display showing the energy flows throughout the ship. "It is like a musical instrument that is out of tune. Each crystal resonates at a specific frequency, but they are all slightly off. If we could adjust them one by one—" "That would take weeks," Kang Ho said. "We have hours." "Not if we do it manually," Dr. Shin Ara said. "The calculations are too precise for automation, but if someone could interface with the ship's systems directly, feel the harmonics instead of just calculating them." Arya shook her head. "Absolutely not. I will not risk your life." "It is not just my life at risk," Dr. Shin Ara replied. "It is everyone's." Before anyone could argue further, explosions echoed through the ship. The lights flickered, and Arya's form became unstable. "We are under attack," she announced. They rushed to the main chamber to see what was happening. On the ship's external sensors, they could see Veltan soldiers moving through the canyon. Commander Nex was leading them, carrying weapons designed to cut through the ship's hull. "That fool," Dr. Shin Ara said. "He does not understand what he is doing." More explosions rocked the ship as Nex's forces tried to blast their way inside. Each blast sent feedback through the temporal stabilizers, making them more unstable. "He is making everything worse," Kang Ho said. "Those explosions are disrupting the quantum fields." Arya's form flickered again. "Hull breach in Section 7. They are inside the ship." Through the ship's internal sensors, they could see the Veltan soldiers moving through the corridors, but the ship was fighting back. Walls shifted to block their path. Gravity reversed itself, sending them tumbling. Lights flashed in patterns that made them dizzy and confused. "The ship is trying to protect itself," Arya explained, "but the defensive systems are drawing power from the stabilizers." On the communications screen, War Master Gul Thane appeared. His golden scales were dark with anger. "Commander Nex acted without orders," he said. "But now that he has breached the ship, I cannot recall him without losing face." "Your politics are going to kill us all," Kang Ho said. "Perhaps, but I cannot appear weak in front of humans." The screen went dark as another explosion shook the ship. This one was closer, and the feedback it created sent visible cracks through the air around the temporal stabilizer. "The quantum matrix is collapsing," Dr. Shin Ara said, reading her instruments with growing horror. "We have minutes, not hours." "There has to be something we can do," Kang Ho said. Dr. Shin Ara looked at Arya, then at the failing stabilizers, then back at Kang Ho. "There is, but you are not going to like it. Tell me, someone needs to interface directly with the ship's quantum consciousness. Not just link with the computers, but actually merge temporarily with Arya herself, share the processing load, and feel the harmonic patterns directly." Arya stepped forward. "No, the risk is too great. A biological mind cannot survive full quantum integration." "Maybe not survive," Dr. Shin Ara said quietly. "But it might work long enough to stabilize the system." Kang Ho looked between them. "You are talking about suicide." I am talking about saving everyone, Dr. Shin Ara replied. Another explosion. Closer this time. Commander Nex and his soldiers were fighting their way toward the main chamber. The ship's defenses were weakening as more power was diverted from the stabilizers. I will do it, Kang Ho said. No, Dr. Shinara said firmly. Your mind understands. Machines intuitively, but mine understands the mathematical principles involved. I have a better chance of surviving the integration. Before anyone could stop her, Dr. Shin Ara placed her hands on the crystal pillar at the center of the chamber. Immediately, energy began flowing between her and Arya. Shin Ara, stop, Arya pleaded. You do not understand what this will do to you. But Dr. Shin Ara was already changing. Her scales began to glow with the same light as the ship's crystals. Her eyes became pools of quantum energy. When she spoke, her voice echoed with harmonics that had not existed moments before. I can see it, she said in wonder. I can see the patterns in space-time itself. The frequencies are beautiful. Through her link with Arya, Dr. Shin Ara began adjusting the temporal stabilizers with impossible precision. Each crystal resonated perfectly with its neighbors, creating harmony from chaos. But the process was burning her up from the inside. Her biological form was not designed to handle quantum consciousness. Shin Ara, Kang Ho called out. Can you hear me? I can hear everything, she replied, her voice becoming more like Arya's with each word. The ship's memories, the future it came from, the threat that is coming. Kang Ho, you have to understand. This is bigger than just repairing the stabilizers. What do you mean? The ship is not just from the future. It is from a specific future. One where humanity survives because they learn to work with other species. Because they learn that cooperation is stronger than conquest. The stabilizers were coming back online, their crystalline structure singing in perfect harmony. The cracks in space-time began to seal themselves. But Dr. Shin Ara was fading, her physical form becoming more translucent. The integration is killing her, Arya said desperately. I am trying to protect her consciousness, but her biological matrix cannot sustain this level of quantum activity. Commander Nex and his soldiers finally broke into the main chamber. They stopped in shock when they saw Dr. Shin Ara merged with the ship's systems, her body glowing like a star. What have you done? Nex demanded, raising his weapon. What I had to do, Kang Ho replied, stepping between Nex and the crystal pillar. The commander fired, but his weapon's energy was absorbed harmlessly by the ship's systems. Dr. Shin Ara, now more energy than matter, looked at him with eyes that held the depth of space itself. Stand down, Commander, she said, and her voice carried the authority of someone who had seen the future and knew what was at stake. There are greater enemies than the ones we choose for ourselves. Nex stared at what his colleague had become. Fear and confusion warred with his military training. You are no longer Velthan, he said finally. I am more than Velthan now, Dr. Shin Ara replied. I am what we all must become if we are to survive what is coming. The stabilizers reached full power, and the ship's systems came fully online for the first time in 50,000 years. Throughout the galaxy, monitoring stations detected the energy signature. Some recognized it as a call for alliance. Others saw it as a threat to be eliminated. And in the dark spaces between galaxies, something ancient and hungry turned its attention toward the signal's source. The repair was complete, but the real challenge was just beginning. Dr. Shin Ara existed in two states at once. Part of her was still the Velthan scientist who had walked into the ship hours ago. But another part had merged with Arya and the ship's quantum consciousness, giving her access to 50,000 years of human knowledge and experience. Through this expanded awareness, she could see the truth that Arya had been hiding. The ship was not sent back to change the past, she said, her voice carrying harmonics that made the air itself vibrate. It was sent back to plant seeds, to ensure that when the devourers arrive, the galaxy will be ready. Kang Ho looked up from the stabilizer controls he had been monitoring. What are you talking about? Show them, Dr. Shinara said to Arya. The AI nodded reluctantly, and the chamber around them dissolved. Suddenly, they were floating in space, watching the galaxy, as it would appear 200 years in the future. Massive shapes moved between the stars. Ships the size of moons, consuming everything in their path. Entire solar systems went dark as the Devourers fed on the energy of stars themselves. They have destroyed 1,000 civilizations across multiple galaxies, Dr. Shinara explained. Each time they learn from what they consume. They become stronger, smarter, more efficient. But humanity survived, Kang Ho asked. One version of humanity, Arya said. In the timeline this ship comes from, humans learned to work with other species. They built alliances instead of empires. When the Devourers came, the galaxy was united. And they still lost. They fought to a standstill, Dr. Shinara said. But the cost was enormous. Entire species extinct, worlds burned. The survivors decided that fighting the Devourers was not enough. They had to prevent the war entirely. The vision changed, showing scientists and engineers from dozens of species working together. They built the Prometheus Unbound not as a weapon, but as a messenger, a way to send knowledge back through time to a point where the galaxy could prepare properly. The ship's activation sends a signal, Arya explained. Every advanced species in the galaxy will detect it. Some will come seeking alliance. Others will come seeking to destroy the threat before it grows. And the Devourers? They will notice too, Dr. Shinara said grimly. The signal will reach them in approximately 6 months. They will arrive 200 years early, but they will also arrive to face a galaxy that has had time to prepare. Commander Nex had been listening to all of this with growing alarm. You have doomed us all, he said. You have called down destruction on every world in the galaxy. We have given every world in the galaxy a chance to survive, Dr. Shinara replied, something they would not have had otherwise. The vision faded and they were back in the ship's chamber. But now the walls were transparent, showing the space above Velthara Prime. Both human and Velthan fleets were withdrawing as new ships arrived, ships unlike anything any of them had seen before. The first wave belonged to the Alterian Collective, humanity's oldest enemies, sleek vessels designed for speed and stealth, but instead of attacking, they were broadcasting diplomatic codes. Next came the crystalline hegemony, beings of living mineral who had never been known to communicate with organic life. Their geometric ships pulsed with mathematical patterns that somehow conveyed peaceful intent. More arrived every hour. Species that had been myths or legends, civilizations that had hidden in the dark spaces between stars. All drawn by the signal from the Prometheus. Unbound. They are coming to learn, Arya said with satisfaction. The ship's database contains technological advances that each species will develop naturally over the next 50,000 years. But if we share that knowledge now, we can accelerate their development, Kang Ho finished. Give them the tools they need to fight the Devourers. But not everyone was coming in peace. Long-range sensors detected massive military fleets converging on their position. Species that saw the ship as a threat to be eliminated before it could change the balance of power. On the communications screen, Governor Park Day appeared again. Behind him, the bridge of his ship was buzzing with activity. Kang Ho, we have a problem, he said. The hegemony of suns is mobilizing their entire war fleet. 300 ships including their planet killers. They will be here in 18 hours. The hegemony fears change above all else, Arya explained. They have ruled their sector through technological superiority for millennia. If other species gain access to advanced technology, their empire falls, Dr. Shinara said. So they will try to destroy us before we can share what we know. War Master Gulthane's face appeared on another screen. My forces are willing to fight alongside humans to defend the ship, he announced, but our combined fleets are no match for the hegemony. What about the species that came seeking alliance? Kang Ho asked. Most are explorers and scientists, Arya said. They came to learn, not to fight. Dr. Shin Ara, still merged with the ship's consciousness, was studying data streams that flowed through her awareness like rivers of light. There is another option, she said slowly. What? The ship has construction protocols in its database, ways to build technology that won't exist for millennia. If we can set up manufacturing systems quickly enough. You want to build a fleet? Kang Ho asked. Not just a fleet, an entirely new kind of ship. One that incorporates the best technology from every species that has come here. Human adaptability, Velthan mathematical precision, Alterian stealth systems, crystalline computational power. Arya looked uncertain. That would require integrating technologies that were never meant to work together. The compatibility issues alone would be impossible for any one species to solve, Dr. Shin Ara agreed. But we are not one species anymore. She gestured to the ships filling the space around Velthara Prime. Dozens of different species, all working to understand the technology they had found. For the first time in galactic history, we have representatives from civilizations that span millions of years of development. If they work together, it could work, Kang Ho said, his engineers, mind already seeing the possibilities. But we would need someone to coordinate the effort. Someone who understands both the technical challenges and the political ones. Dr. Shin Ara smiled, and for a moment she looked almost like her old self. I believe I know someone who fits that description. Over the next 6 hours, something unprecedented happened in galactic history. Species that had never communicated before began sharing their most closely guarded secrets. The Alterians provided cloaking technology that could hide entire fleets. The crystalline hegemony offered computational matrices that could process information at light speed. A dozen other species contributed advances in weapons, shields, propulsion, and construction. But it was Kang Ho who figured out how to make it all work together. Stop thinking like separate technologies, he told the assembled scientists and engineers. Think like parts of one big machine, each piece doing what it does best, but all working toward the same goal. The first hybrid ship was completed just as the hegemony fleet arrived in the outer system. It was smaller than a traditional battleship, but it incorporated advances from 20 different species. The test pilot was a young human named Lee Jae, chosen because his neural patterns were compatible with the ship's hybrid control systems. When he launched, the ship moved like nothing anyone had ever seen. It could phase in and out of normal space, calculate battle solutions faster than any organic mind, and adapt its configuration based on tactical requirements. One ship against 300 should have been hopeless. Instead, it was the beginning of a new age. The hegemony fleet found itself facing an opponent that could not be tracked, could not be predicted, and could not be stopped. Every time they adapted their tactics, the hybrid ship evolved new countermeasures. But the real victory was not in battle. It was in the message the ship broadcast to every corner of the galaxy. The age of isolated species is over. Join us, or be left behind when the real threat arrives. Across the galaxy, civilizations began to choose sides. Some rallied to the new alliance. Others prepared for war, but none could ignore the fact that everything had changed. The seeds planted by the Prometheus Unbound were beginning to grow. 2 years had passed since the day Kang Ho found the ship in the Crystal Canyon. Now, he stood on the observation deck of Unity Station, a massive construction facility built in orbit around Velthara Prime. Through the transparent metal, he could see ships unlike anything the galaxy had known before. They were beautiful and terrible at the same time. Each vessel incorporated technology from dozens of species, their hulls shifting between solid matter and energy based on tactical needs. Human creativity, Velthan mathematics, Alterian stealth, crystalline computation, and advances from 50 Other species all working together. The construction rate is exceeding all projections, reported Captain Lee J., who had become the commander of the hybrid fleet. We now have over 2,000 ships completed, with more launching every day. Kang Ho nodded, but his attention was focused on the deeper space monitors. They showed movement in the void between galaxies. Dark shapes larger than solar systems, heading toward their galaxy at impossible speeds. "How long?" he asked. 6 months, Dr. Shin Ara replied. She stood beside him, but she was no longer entirely the same being who had entered the ship 2 years ago. Her merger with Arya had changed her permanently. Part alien scientist, part quantum consciousness, she could perceive reality in ways that helped coordinate the galaxy-wide alliance. "Maybe less," she continued. "The Devourers detected our signal earlier than Arya predicted. They are accelerating their approach." Behind them, the command center of Unity Station buzzed with activity. Representatives from over 100 species worked together, coordinating defenses across multiple star systems. The sight would have been impossible to imagine just 2 years ago. Governor Park Day approached their group, datapad in hand. "The latest reports from the outer colonies," he said. "The hegemony of suns has finally agreed to join the alliance. Their pride cost them 3 more worlds, but losing their capital system convinced them that cooperation is better than extinction." "What about the holdout species?" Kang Ho asked. "Most have come around," War Master Gulthane said, joining the conversation. The Velthan military leader had become one of the Alliance's strongest supporters after seeing what united species could accomplish. The few that remain isolated, well, they will learn when the Devourers arrive. Through the station's communication systems, Arya's voice reached them. The AI now existed across thousands of ships and facilities, her consciousness distributed throughout the Alliance's technology. "Long-range sensors are detecting the first Devourer scout ships entering our galaxy," she announced. "They are 3 systems away from the outer defense grid." The moment everyone had been preparing for had finally arrived. All units to battle. "Stations," Captain Lee J. commanded. "This is not a drill." Across the galaxy, the greatest military force ever assembled began to move. Fleets that combined the best technology from 100 civilizations. Weapons that could reshape matter at the quantum level. Defenses that could redirect the energy of stars. But Kang Ho was not thinking about the military preparations. He was thinking about something else Arya had shown him in the ship's memory banks. "There is something you need to know," he said to the assembled leaders. "Something Arya discovered in the final analysis of the Prometheus Unbound's data." Dr. Shin Ara looked at him with her quantum-enhanced perception. "You found it too, did not you? The real reason the ship was sent back." "What are you talking about?" Governor Park Day asked. Kang Ho activated a holographic display showing the galaxy as it appeared now, with Alliance forces positioned throughout key systems. Then he changed the display to show probability calculations. "The Devourers are not just destroyers," he explained. "They are harvesters. They consume civilizations to fuel their own growth. Each species they absorb makes them stronger and smarter. We know this," War Master Gulthane said impatiently. "But what we did not know is why they do it," Dr. Shin Ara continued. Arya finally decoded the deepest memory files from the ship. The Devourers are not the real threat. The holographic display changed again, showing vast intelligences that existed in the dark matter between galaxies. Entities so large and ancient that entire galactic clusters were just tools they used. "The Dark Architects," Arya's voice explained through the station's speakers. "They have been guiding galactic evolution for billions of years. The Devourers are their agents, sent to harvest promising civilizations when they reach a certain level of development." "Harvest them for what?" Captain Lee J. asked. "To create a weapon," Kang Ho said grimly. "A weapon capable of fighting something even the Dark Architects fear." The display showed images from the very edge of observable space. structures that violated every known law of physics, intelligences that existed outside of time and space as normally understood. The Void Shepherds, Dr. Shin Ara said. Entities that seek to return the universe to the primordial chaos from which it emerged. The Dark Architects have been preparing for war with them for eons. And we are supposed to be their weapon? Governor Parkday asked in disbelief. If we survive the harvesting, Arya confirmed. The species that prove strong enough to resist the Devourers are integrated into the Dark Architects' forces. Those that fail are consumed to power the war machine. The command center fell silent as the implications sank in. They were not just fighting for their survival. They were fighting to avoid becoming soldiers in a cosmic war they barely understood. So, what do we do? War Master Gul Thane asked. Kang Ho smiled for the first time in months. We do what humans do best. We find a third option. Over the next few hours, as the first Devourer ships entered the outer defense grid, Kang Ho explained his plan. It was audacious beyond belief, requiring technology that existed only in theory and cooperation on a scale never before achieved. Instead of just fighting the Devourers, they would capture them, study them, learn how their harvesting technology worked, and then turn it against the Dark Architects themselves. You want to harvest the harvesters? Dr. Shin Ara asked. I want to give the galaxy a fourth option, Kang Ho replied. We do not have to be victims or weapons or servants. We can choose to be something else entirely. The first battle began in the Keth system, where Alliance forces met the Devourer vanguard. The enemy ships were larger than anything in the Alliance fleet, but they had been designed to fight against divided primitive civilizations. They were not prepared for ships that could phase in and out of normal space, while firing weapons that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. They were not ready for coordinations between species that had been enemies for millennia, working together with perfect precision. Most importantly, they were not expecting the Alliance to fight with capture, not destruction, as their primary goal. Captain Lee J led the assault, his hybrid ship dancing through the Devourer formation like a leaf in a hurricane. Behind him, specialized capture ships deployed containment fields based on crystalline matrix technology and Alterian phase manipulation. One by one, the Devourer ships were disabled and contained. Their crews were preserved in stasis fields while Alliance scientists began the process of reverse engineering their technology. It is working, Dr. Shin Ara reported from Unity Station. We are learning how their harvesting systems function, how they convert biological consciousness into quantum energy, how they store and transport the essence of entire civilizations. But the real breakthrough came when they managed to capture a Devourer command ship. Inside, they found something unexpected. The Devourers themselves were harvested beings, creatures from 1,000 different species, their consciousness merged, and shaped into living weapons by the Dark Architects. They are slaves, Arya announced to the entire Alliance, forced to serve against their will, just as we would have been if we had failed to resist. The discovery changed everything. The Alliance began developing technology not just to capture Devourer ships, but to free the beings trapped within them. Each liberation added new species to their ranks, new perspectives and technologies to incorporate. Within 6 months, what had begun as a defensive war had become a liberation campaign. The Alliance grew stronger with every battle, not through conquest, but through rescue. And when the Dark Architects finally took notice of what was happening in this small galaxy, they found something they had never encountered before. A unified force that refused to be categorized. Too strong to be harvested, too compassionate to be corrupted, too creative to be predicted. Standing on the bridge of the newest Alliance flagship, a vessel that incorporated technology from over 300 species, including liberated Devourers, Kang Ho looked out at a galaxy transformed. Children of dozens of species played together in schools that taught both quantum mechanics and practical engineering. Former enemies worked side by side to solve problems that had seemed impossible just years before, and in the depths of space, construction began on something unprecedented. Not a weapon, but a beacon. A signal that would reach across the universe, calling to every enslaved species, every captured civilization, every being that had been forced to serve the Dark Architects. The message was simple. You are not alone. There is another way. Come home. Kang Ho allowed himself a rare smile. The old mechanic who had just wanted to fix broken machines had somehow become part of fixing the galaxy itself.